Welcome back to Random City Sports Ballers. Today I am looking over my draft results from one of my $100 leagues, and I'm going to use those draft results to kind of guide you around what I personally would do for my draft. One of the first things that I want you to be aware of, with the Army of Pitchers plus power, the HrRBIs Army of Pitchers, we're looking for home runs, RBIs, runs will come along for the ride. I am punting on, stolen bases and batting average. So we're not even focusing on stolen bases and batting average, but if the guy has them, I'll take that. That's awesome. Thank you. But I really want to max out what I can on my power bets. So some things that I'm going to look for are late draft picks, okay? These are guys that you can get cheap power out of, all right? So let's take a look here. Let's assume that we're going to be doing HrRBIs Army of Pitchers. Things you need to be aware of are what are the players I'm going to get later and what are the players I'm going to get early. Well, early, you can get lots of power bats. You can find them really well. And late, you can get a few power bats. You can get some cheap power late in the draft. But early on is where you get some serious power, all right? We're talking Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Juan Soto, Jose Ramirez. You know, Bobby Witt has some power, but in this first round, I would love if I can get Aaron Judge every time. Maybe throw in some Ohtani, toss some Soto and Ramirez in there. There's nothing wrong with Gunnar Henderson's power. And think about these guys getting their stolen bases as well, which I personally don't care about, but yay. So what are we talking about at positions? We're getting catcher, first base, second base, third base, shortstop, 3 outfielders, 2 utilities, and usually 1 bench bat. Only one. That allows me to have a big set of pitchers to come in every time. Now, pitchers. I'm looking at pitchers in the mid rounds, starting somewhere right around here where I got Chris Sale, Dylan Cease. There's a lot of pitchers right there. Late, what are we getting late? We're talking late is after round 13, all right? Late, we can still find pitchers. We can find some power. Look at Tyler O'Neill here, has some power, doesn't he? Ezekiel Tovar at shortstop has some power. We've got more pitchers. Look at Ronel Blanco right here in round, what is that, 15? That's a nice position. I was actually going to grab him in that position, but I took Tovar instead, and I'm happy with it. I was forced to take someone else because Blanco went right before me. Oh, here's Kerry Carpenter. That should be a decent source of power. What else we got for power down here late? Guys, let's take a look. Xander Bogaerts is not the second base shortstop he used to be. Okay, remember that. Taylor Ward, there's some power. Max Muncy, there's some power. So what we're looking at right now, if we do Max Muncy, Taylor Ward, we can look at, who'd we just have? Kerry Carpenter and Ezekiel Tovar. That's outfield, that's shortstop. Here's another outfield in Tyler O'Neill. Max Muncy is third base. Taylor Ward is an outfielder. So we've got some outfielders. We got some shortstop. We got some third base. Okay. Who else do we have for cheap power down here? There's not a whole lot left, fellas, by the way. Some would say Garcia has some power potential. Colt Keith may have some second base power potential, but, you know, if you took Christopher Morel right there, I'd probably be happier with Morel for power, and that gets you your second baseman right here. Christopher Morel, second base, third base, outfielder. Jackson Holliday is not a power hitter, sorry. Rhys Hoskins, there's a power hitter at first base. And Dansby Swanson is not a bad shortstop to have. Jeremy Pena is actually still on this waiver wire. Mason Wynn, a lot of people like him, but it's not my gig. So looking through these, you're noticing those are our power hitters, all right, that are late in the draft. So we don't have a whole lot that we can do in the beginning of the draft. We can get some outfield. We should get maybe a second baseman if we can, but second base is weak on power this year, guys. Second base is seriously weak on power. We got Kettle Marte. We got Mookie Betts. Other than that, we don't have a whole lot. So if you can get a second baseman like that, you might be sacrificing some home runs overall. Because Schwarber, Alonso, these guys are really going to ring up the home runs in the high 30s, possibly low 40s. So if you take Ketel Marte, you're actually doing pretty good there. Mookie Betts, we know how he did. If he stays healthy, we know what he'll be. But he's getting older, so how does he stay healthy? All right, so let's look through. What am I doing here for the draft? In that first round, I'm after power. Always after power, not a pitcher, never anything but power. And I am shy on guys who just got injured, like Tucker and Betts. Boy, do I have a hard time with drafting those fellas. Ellie De La Cruz, a little bit of power. Depends on where your draft position is, but I would rather take Juan Soto. I would rather take Gunnar Henderson. I'd rather take Vlad Jr. So there's that. This Paul Skeens, love Paul Skeens. I understand who he is. I had him all over the place last year, and I recommended getting him off waivers or drafting him in the final round, and I had him all over the place. And boy, was that a help for the time that he was there. But I'm not taking a pitcher this early ever again. I need power. That's how I will dominate. So look at this first round, Aaron Judge. And then in the second round, I went on to Matt Olson. Okay, that could have gone to Kyle Schwarber, but let's give Matt Olson his props and assume that he's going to get back up to that high 30s, low 40s home run rate. I don't know if he'll get above 50 ever again, but you know what? I got faith in Matt Olson to turn it around and bring me back some power hit. Along with Alonso at the time, I knew he was going back to the Mets. Most other people were like, we don't know where he's going to go. And my friend, my partner in crime, Keith from the Random City Sports Ballers, he was worried, what if he goes somewhere like Seattle? And holy crap, what if he had gone somewhere like Seattle? Oh, boy. Oh, no thank you. First round, look for your power. Bobby Witt's fine. Gets all those stolen bases along with a good number of home runs, mid-30s. Ohtani, wow. 50-50 last year. 50 home runs, 50 stolen bases. Dude, if you picked him up last year in, what was it, the second round to grab Ohtani, man, what a dream pick. I had him a couple of times, and, I believe I got a championship there. So in your first round, look for power. Look for power, look for power, look for power. Understanding the limitations of, shortstop. If you don't get one of these top 5 shortstops in the first round, fellas, you might not have any power at shortstop. You'll end up with Tovar, Swanson, Pena. These guys are fine, but boy, are they not going to do it for you. If you miss out on Vlad Jr. at first base or third base, well, you can make up that first base position with Olson or Alonso, or you can wait a good long time and go grab some Rhys Hoskins. So let's move on to the middle rounds here. What I consider middle is 4th through 12. Okay, 4th through 12. You're looking for your pitching. Get that underway. And man, on this draft, I actually did not come at saves quick enough. I always say around 8, 9, 10 is where you should go grab some saves. But other players were just too tempting. So here, in this round, you could have Burns, Reagans, too early for a closer in round 4, 5, or 6, personally. Crochet, Gilbert, Chris Sale, too early for these closers, but some people take them. Dylan Cease, Yoshi Yamamoto. And then look at the power here. Look at this. Rooker and Ozuna. Right? All right, so then we got someone taking Garrett Cole, putting a little faith in the guy. Iglesias here. Not real thrilled about that. What's some power that people grabbed in the 4th round here? Teoscar Hernandez. That's a good power outfielder. We're looking over here. Salvador Perez. Good power catcher. Since William Contreras was already gone, it's a good power catcher. Cal Raleigh is the other great power catcher. Wow, what did he have last year? 37? So we know we've got some power here in round 4, 5, 6. We know we've got some great pitching. There's Christian Walker, Framber Valdez, too early for a closer. Look here, Santander, right? I mean, power, round 6. You're getting great power. But you can also go out here and grab another closer. Okay, round 6 I could see. Imanaga, Michael King, right? Willie Adames. Man, last year he was one of my darlings. You know, he was a guy that I was after all the time, Willie Adames. And now that he's moved to San Francisco, I'm going, yeah, not the same guy. So we got Naylor with a little bit of power, Bellinger, Kirby, that's a good pitcher. Rushman, good catcher, but, you know, if I'm taking a catcher right there, I would rather have had Contreras a couple rounds earlier. Or I would have taken Cal Raleigh, who went in the 8th round. You know, give me those home runs. Give me all those 37 home runs, fellas. There's a good source of power. Vientos, great pitcher. Tanner Bibby, James Wood. Wow. You know, we don't know what his power potential is, James Wood, but we know he's going to steal some bases too. He's a good player. I had him all over the place last year for his rookie season. So I'm not afraid of James Wood. I'm just not taking him in round 7 when I've got all these other pitchers that I can grab through and a couple of late outfielders who should produce about the same amount of power. Look at down here. Logan Webb. Right. Brenton Doyle, Matt McClain, and Jordan Westberg. Not excited about any of them, but then we got DeGrom. I don't have faith in DeGrom. I'm sorry. Again, we're talking about a guy with maximum injuries for a couple of years here. There's Raleigh for power. Matt Chapman, another good source of power for third base. Bryce Miller, Caminero. That's a tricky one, isn't it? I mean, we're talking round 8. We're looking around here. You know, you could have so many other players than Caminero. I would take Berger, which I did, even though Caminero, if he had been there, I would have still taken Berger over him. You know, Berger, he's shown us who he is. Caminero keeps showing us that he's injury prone and, well, just not real great plate discipline. So there's Glasnow, Sasaki, and we don't know how that's going to turn out, but round 8 seems to me like a decent place for a landing spot for him. Max Fried, oh boy, in New York, you know, that we don't know how that's going to go. It might go great, might go poorly. Schwellenbach, we saw how he played last season. Good pitching. And he's in Atlanta, so we should expect some wins. Castillo, look at that, round 9 for Castillo. That's pretty great position for him. We got Brian Reynolds, good source of outfield power. I mean, you know, we're not getting the 50, but we're getting over 25. Hunter Green, 9th round. Good pickup right there. Some people are torn. Is it Hunter Green or Hunter Brown? Hunter Green, Hunter Brown. Which one do I want? Personally, I'd like to have both of them, but you can't build all your teams to look the same. Pablo Lopez, probably appropriate to go late here in round 9. Ober, Justin Steele, Aaron Nola. Wow, of these, Hunter Green, Grayson Rodriguez, Pablo Lopez, Bailey Ober, Justin Steele, Aaron Nola. I like Hunter Green first. Then I'm torn between Ober and Steele, then Lopez, then probably Nola, but we don't know how that's going to play out. Robert Suarez consistently going in this round, 9, 8 or 9, sometimes 10. You know, it's going to be hit or miss. Adolis Garcia, if he brings back his numbers, then this is an excellent pickup. If he just has last year's numbers, then it's an okay pickup in round 9. So I wouldn't avoid him, but know that he's got to improve from last year's numbers. Sonny Gray, wonderful round 10 pick. Zach Gallen, I'm avoiding Mike Trout. Y'all, if you want to go after Mike Trout, knock yourselves out. You know, I expect him to miss half the season. Ryan Walker, Joe Ryan, Kerry Yates. Here I took Freddie Peralta. I felt pretty good about taking Freddie Peralta right there. I was anticipating I could wait and get Hunter Brown in the next round, but nope, that was not the case. But Langoliers, it's a fine power catcher. So now at this point, I've got a good number of power bats, and I'll need to finish closing it out later on. Let's see here. We got Senga, Lopez, Ian Happ, Suzuki, Trevor McGill. I like Trevor McGill as a closer. I could have taken him right there, and I know that I avoided the closers too much avoidance here. But as I said during this draft, we'd only know half of the closers for now, and half of those that we know probably won't be closing by the end of the season. So there's a lot of people that we don't know that are going to be taking over those late innings for their teams. Rosarena, Jared Jones, had him on my team last year. Boy, was he great early, and, well, that's all I'll say about that. Eugenio Suarez. Ha! Phew! After 7 of his last 8 seasons, Eugenio Suarez, this guy hits home runs in the second half of the season, not the first half. I'm expecting Eugenio Suarez will be available on waivers in June, and I will pick him up. He'll be on my team after he gets dropped in June. Maybe he gets dropped earlier. It happens every year, and you can pick him up off waiver wires. Paul Goldschmidt showed us how old he is last year. Not worth my time. Diaz, good pickup. Hoffman might be a good pickup. I don't know. They just put Estevez in there as well. No, that was Kansas City took Estevez. Fairbanks in Tampa Bay, I like that pick. Spencer Strider, it's going to be kind of iffy. You know, the injury, we'll see if he comes back. We don't know yet. So what else? There's Estevez. I think that's a great one because I think he'll be closing in Kansas City, and you got him in round 12. Justin Martinez should be closing in Arizona. Jason Adam might take over that role, but we know Martinez did a fine job last year. Then here's Jack Flaherty. Nobody knew where he was going at that point. The next day, I believe, he signed with Detroit. So I grabbed Detroit, pitcher Jack Flaherty. I suspected he would stay in Detroit, but it worked out. I got kind of lucky. I like Paredes. He's got a decent amount of power, nothing special. Arias, boy, he will never be on my team. Steer, Rodon. Rounding out that army of pitchers. I could have taken Ohtani, but I know he's not pitching until at least May. So, and we don't know how he's going to come back. He'll probably be great again. I mean, it's Shohei Ohtani. This guy is amazing. Urkeg, or is that Urseg? Urkeg. He's, fellas, they picked up Estevez, so I don't think he'll be the closer. Joyce might be the closer in Los Angeles. The other Contreras, Ryan Pepio. Keith, the other side of Random City Sports Ballers, loves Ryan Pepio, so don't be afraid of that. Nothing real exciting here. A Gosman, if he can improve from last year's numbers. Castellanos, Lewis Gill. Lewis Gill. I really liked when he was pitching well. I really hated when he was pitching poorly, but isn't that just the way? Sometimes that's how it goes for a fella. Alcantara, no thanks. Campbell, Riley Green, Bednar. David Bednar is the closer again, right? So here we are, round 14. Someone grab closer. Nice job. And I was looking for some cheap power in Tyler O'Neill. Jurickson Profar, that's fine. It's fine. He's older, but he'll probably repeat last year's numbers. Nothing great, nothing terrible. Carpenter, Blanco, we talked about. I grabbed Tovar, we talked about. Ohapi. Should do what he did last year again. Just over 20 home runs, right around 20. Robbie Ray, no thanks. Some of these are players that you can look at them and go, yeah, no thanks. Look at Alec Boehm here. Not a bad pick, not a great pick. So round 15 sounds about right. Remember, probably 10 of these later players are not going to be on your team at the end of the season. They're just not. So anticipate that. Anticipate moves being made. There'll be injuries. There'll be slumps. You'll have to make up for some of this. Now we get into the, who's left? Well, I like Josh Young. I'm not in love, but, he's fine third baseman. Shane Baz, I like. Kenley Jansen will probably be closing. Bogarts, no thanks. Brendan Bowden Francis, no. Seth Lugo, I did grab him, but he's going to need to repeat those numbers. Keith wanted me to he wanted me to grab Zach Eflin. I get it. De Los Santos, Max Muncy, decent source of third base power. Taylor Ward, some outfield power. You might be noticing with the O'Neill and Taylor Ward that I was like, okay, cheap outfield power in the later rounds. And that's one that I was excited about. Cheap outfield power in the later rounds. Arrighetti. Actually, we could talk about Job, but, I'm a Detroit guy. So let's see how this Job thing goes. All right. Arrighetti. Maybe. I could see that. Yeah. This late, him or Tanner Houck right here, yeah, I could be excited about either one of those. It's a round 17 pickup, fellas. Okay, Barry Barrios. Zach Neto at shortstop's not terrible. Yu Darvish, Nolan Arenado. We know who these guys are. Heston Kjerstad could be a power hitter if he can stay on the field. Lodolo, people taking a chance. There's Sanchez, taking a chance that he's going to do well. Manea, Fat. Jeffrey Springs. I honestly think Springs will come back. He's a year and a half now from his Tommy John surgery. And I've always said it's that guy that's a year and a half back from Tommy John that's actually back from Tommy John. And here's where I grab my first closer, Jason Foley. He should keep the job. Last year he had, 28 saves? So I don't hate that. But then look at these names. Who excites you here? Nate Eovaldi, Gavin Williams, Garcia, Victor Robles, Michael Wacha. Are these exciting names? Christopher Morel, this is a good one to throw into your second base slot. Okay, you can catch him in round 20, and now you've held out for second base and filled in other positions all this time. You got Stevenson, Bieber. These are just taking a chance on guys. I got Colt Keith here, just taking a chance. Volpe, no thanks. Jackson Holiday, Martinez, Nick Martinez, man. That fella, if he can get it all together again, that round 21 pick of Nick Martinez could be amazing. We took Liam Hendricks because, he's going to catch some saves in Boston. Kenley Jansen won't be the only guy. There's Merrill Kelly, who really fell from grace. Geloff, Olsen, Nestor Cortez, Masataka Yoshida. That was great a few years ago. Ranger Suarez, no thanks. Rhys Hoskins, that's good late power at first base. What are we getting? 26 to 30, somewhere in there, home runs. Swanson, 20 to 25 home runs probably. Don't like that he's playing with the Cubs still, but it is what it is. Clayton Kershaw, see if he's pitching. He's a great Hall of Famer right there. We also grabbed Wallner. Cheap power, fellas. Cheap power. Someone took a chance on Justin Verlander. Jason Adam, I took that just because if he takes over as the closer, which is possible, Justin Martinez might not hold that job. But this is round 23. You're supposed to take a chance on somebody. Yuri Perez, we know is not going to be back until mid-season, probably around the All-Star break, so I wouldn't draft him. He's just going to have to sit on your injured list until then. But it's the last round. Take whoever you want. They're not staying on your team if they suck. They're probably going to suck. So just see what you're going to end up with. So let's take a look at what my team ended up looking like. We've got Langoliers at catcher. Last year, 29 home runs. We got Matt Olson at first base. Last year, 29 home runs. We got Colt Keith. Last year, only 13 home runs. I expect those numbers to pick up. I mean, he's in Detroit. Detroit's not exactly a hitter-friendly park, but it's all right. Jake Berger, that's 29 home runs last year. Ezekiel Tovar, 26 last year. Aaron Judge, geez, man, look at these numbers. Just, good Lord, 58 last year. Look at the RBIs and the runs. Brian Reynolds, 24 home runs last year, expect about the same. Tyler O'Neill, 31 last year, expecting the same. Alonso, 34, expecting that or more. Taylor Ward, 25 last year, expecting that. Matt Wallner, expect him to at least double his at-bats, so let's go ahead and say he's around 20 to 25 home runs. It's not bad. That's my bench guy. That's my bench guy, fellas. So then we're looking at the Army of Pitchers. I think we did satisfy the home runs and RBIs. We got over 300 home runs. We got over 900 RBIs. I'm happy with it. And we did get over 850 runs. So we satisfied those parts of this draft. Then it's into pitchers. We're looking for wins and strikeouts. And, we got that. Chris Sale in Atlanta. Repeat those numbers for me, Chris Sale. Dylan Cease in San Diego. Repeat those numbers for me, my friend. Jason Foley and Liam Hendricks, who did not close last year. In fact, I don't think he was pitching at all last year. I don't know. George Kirby, and then Tanner Bibby, Freddie Peralta, Jack Flaherty, Carlos Rodon, Seth Lugo, Christopher Sanchez, and rounded out with Jason Adam, our third reliever. Usually I carry 4 relievers. I'll probably end up picking someone along the way when one of these other pitchers gets injured, because it'll happen. So I'm anticipating that I'll be looking on the waiver wire for some more saves. But if you look at these home runs, these people get close to repeating, and we looked at the numbers. It would be 1,700 strikeouts. The goal is over 1,500, so we're well over it. It's over 100 wins. The goal is 100, so we satisfied that. It's also a goal of 100 saves. Well, we're not even close to that. We're going to have to work to do that. But our ERA and our WHIP are good, so we're looking at this. Keith thinks it's a playoff team. I think it's a championship team. We'll see how the season progresses. And this is the way. Put together the pieces that you need. You know, if you know that specific first baseman is there for you, go grab him, whatever the round is. You know, you need that power. What are you talking? Olsen and Alonso? We talking about Guerrero? There's a definite drop off at first base. Let's take a look at what happens to first base. We're going to go by all players. All players, first base, by home runs. All right, you got Alonso, you got Naylor, you got Guerrero, Bryce Harper, Matt Olson, Jake Berger, Perez qualifies, Hoskins, Christian Walker, Toglia, look, Carlos Santana, and Luke Raley. But we're already below 25 home runs here, fellas. You know, I mean, are we taking Freddie Freeman? I'm not. Paul Goldschmidt, no thank you. You know, you might as well wait and just grab Michael Busch, I suppose, if you're taking Goldschmidt. So, we do have a Candelario. You know, his numbers will go up a little. We'll see. You know, he's on waivers. You know, this might be the guy that I replace somebody with. So, that's what happens at first base. Let's take a look at second base power. Look at the drop. Look at how far we drop. After Ketel Marte with his 36, just a plummet. Now, this is only Mookie Betts at 450 at bats, but if he gets all the way to 600 or more, how many more are we talking here? 7 more home runs? You know, a bunch more stolen bases. So, you know, Ketel Marte, you know, you get to Simeon and you're already going, well, I don't have a lot of power here. So, Altuve with 20, you know, great batting average, but I don't care about that. Third base has a big drop off as well. Third base has a lot of power throughout. But look at the drop. 39 for Ramirez. By the time we're getting down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Jake Berger, we've lost 10 home runs. So, I mean, that's a big drop to me. But, you know, third base, kind of good for some power, especially cheap power late. Even Christopher Morel is more than 20. So, you know, here's Candelario again. You know, I mean, Chapman, Vientos, Devers, Berger, Machado, Guerrero, Suarez. Dude, he's hitting those late in the season. Don't get too excited early in the season. All right, now shortstop. We got a fat number of hitters at shortstop. Just look at this. We get all the way down to Corey Seager before we hit down to 30 and below. Tovar was 26 last year. Ellie De La Cruz was 25, but the 67 stolen bases has got to be exciting for somebody. And then we got DeYoung. We don't even know if he's going to play. I don't know what's going to happen to him. There's Nito, you know, decent power. Trey Turner, O'Neal Cruz, Abrams, Mookie Betts. Got to put those numbers up higher. He's going to be up above 25, so he's going to be up here above Tovar and Seager, close to. But then we got Swanson. Swanson has to work to actually get up to 20. Pena, same thing. You know, these guys are not a source of power any longer. But I don't hate Swanson being on my team. I don't hate Pena being on my team. I'd honestly, I think I'd rather have Pena because he's a younger player and has a chance to actually improve more playing in Houston. What happens to outfield? Look at these outfielders. Judge, Santander, Soto. These are our plus 40 guys. Rooker, Ozuna, Schwarber, Alvarez, Hernandez, O'Neill. These are all guys that hit more than 30, and I expect them to hit more than 30 again. So be targeting, right? Stanton, if he can stay healthy for a full season ever again, you know, he might get back up to 40, but I just don't see him being able to play. You know, that's probably his max out is 417. I'd expect around the same, but if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Toglia, Ian Happ, Adolis Garcia, Taylor Ward, Brian Reynolds. You know, I mean, we're still above 24, and we're Jackson Merrill deep. You know, here, look at this, 23 all the way down to Brandon Nimmo. We do expect Tucker. Man, we expect his numbers to go up if he stays healthy all year. We expect him to over 40 home runs, right? Isn't that what we expect? Don't we all expect that? You know, so that's the top 25. And fellas, we're still above 23. We don't go to 22 until we get down here. You know, we're pretty deep in the outfielders realm. You know, we're talking Tatis down here. If he stays healthy, should do pretty well. Morel, that's about his ceiling. He might get up to 25. Not bad, though. Not bad for a second baseman. If you're playing him at second, that's awesome. You know, but then we got Rodriguez had a down year with only 20. You know, we're deep. Look at all these people that are still on waivers. That's how deep we are into this outfield. So there's still some cheap power out there. In fact, now that I look at it, hold on. Oh, look at this. Look at where am I? 1, 2. Wow, Taylor Ward and Brian Reynolds, O'Neill, and Judge. I got four of the top. Wow, 4 of the top 16 or 17 bats here, fellas, for outfield. I got some great power out here. I mean, I'm not in love with the amount of power. I love it, though. I mean, this is good power. My lowest outfielder is 24 from Brian Reynolds. My outfield alone, let's see, here's 49 plus 31 is 80 plus 58 is 138. Fellas, I'm getting 1/3 of my home runs come from those 4 players. Cool. I've got some power. We don't need to look at utility. That's just basically everybody plus Ohtani. At the starting pitchers, if we look by strikeouts, guys, I got some strikeout guys. Sale and Cease right here at the beginning. Couldn't get Skubal because I'm not taking a second rounder. Because in my second round, I am still after power. All right, but Wheeler with 224. Look at all these guys that are over 200 on strikeouts. It ends at Freddie Peralta. But, you know, I'm at 198. That's not terrible, is it? Aaron Nola and Rodon, Jack Flaherty. Wait a minute. So that's my 5th pitcher. 6th pitcher, Tanner Bibby. 7th pitcher, Seth Lugo. 8th pitcher, George Kirby. Wow, I've got 8 of the top 25 strikeout guys here. I'm definitely going to be in the top of the strikeouts this year, fellas. See what they do for wins. I'm going to check this by wins. I got 3 of the top 6. Huh. And then there's Cease and Kirby. Wow, just looking through this, guys, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of what, the top 18? 6 of the top 18. How did they let me have this many amazing strikeout freaking and wins pitchers? How do y'all do that? All right, so let's look at it by ERA, even though that is, let's go the other way on ERA. That's going to give us some of these people who never pitched, okay? If you look at it by ERA, you know, you're not going to be able to see what you want to see. You know, you're going to be going, oh, I should take John Means. He pitched 20 innings last year and at 2.61, 0.87. It's kind of great, but Is he coming back this year? Yeah, no news for him, but I don't even know what he's going to be doing this year. So, this is looking back on my draft from just a few days ago. We're looking back to see what can you do with your own draft? What should you do with your own draft? You know, if you want to try to recreate my team, that's fine. You're going to end up with a playoff team. If you just recreate this team, you're in the playoffs. That's it. I mean, how many players would have to get injured for you to miss the playoffs with this team of power? You get your RBIs, you're going to get runs. And then this army of pitchers. You put together this army of pitchers, and fellas, you're going to win strikeouts, wins. You're going to take ERA and whip more than 50% of the time. So you now have 2 categories guaranteed, 2 categories that are 50-50. You know, and this is a categories league. This isn't a points league. This is categories. Win your categories. If you win home runs, RBIs, you know, 75% of the time, runs 60, 70% of the time, and you don't care about stolen base and average, which you'll win at least 25% of the time. Hell, we were getting 50% on average with a team that was batting a 250 or something like that last year. It was, you know, it was nuts. Almost every one of my teams got right around 50% of their wins in average, even though I didn't pay attention to it. ERA and WHIP, you get a similar thing. It's very volatile. You know, you could have the best pitchers ever, and they'll put up a 5 ERA for the week. And you'll be like, how did this happen? Well, it's just a bad week for some fellas. It happens. It's very volatile. That's why I don't pay attention to the stolen bases or batting average. Batting average, very volatile. It's going to move around a lot. ERA and WHIP, very volatile. Going to move around a lot. So I try not to focus too much. I'm not out here grabbing guys. You'll notice that I don't have any players that have more than 4 on ERA. Not one player here has over 4 for last year. Because that's just a thing for me. I avoid those that have had that down year. You know, and you'll see, it was later when I grabbed Peralta where I have finally above a 1.15, well, other than the closer who I grabbed very late. But yeah, everybody else is, you know, below 1.12 until I get to Peralta. And then we get Flaherty, and then we get another one in Rodon who's above 1.2, and another one in Sanchez who's above 1.2. This is going to be a good ERA and WHIP. You know, it's going to work out well. I will take, so home runs, got it. RBIs, got it. Strikeouts, got it. Wins, got it. ERA and WHIP, probably just more than 50% wins on both of those. Fellas, that to make the playoffs, on the 23 weeks that you have, you need a total of 230 points total. You need to get 115. Okay? 23 weeks times 10, you need to have 115, and you will be in the playoffs. If you get somewhere between 125 and 130, you'll be a top 2 seed. It's going to be, you know, if you're in that position and you get the 1 or 2 seed, congrats, well done. I'm going to be streaming pitchers, not every game, not every day. I will be streaming pitchers in and out. I'll have to figure out at what point I'm going to start streaming pitchers, because these are all great pitchers and I don't want to drop any of them. The person that I have ability to drop is going to be Jason Adams, so he's going to be my streaming position. The second an injury happens, that's my streaming position, okay? So I'll be waiting to do any pitcher streaming for the first probably 3 or 4 weeks. You know, once there's an injury, though, I'll be like, okay, who is pitching against the Chicago White Sox? You know, if it's a horrible pitcher, well, then I'll be like, okay, well, we'll skip that one. What I expect, I'll probably stream a total of maybe 60 pitchers throughout the year. That'll give me somewhere around 300 more innings. Those 300 more innings, I should get somewhere around 300 more strikeouts. In a points league, you will have destroyed your league doing that. You will have destroyed the league. Those extra 300 innings, you will crush your opponents. In a categories league, well, you're going to be kind of going, all right, this is supposed to help me with wins and strikeouts, hopefully helps me with ERA and WHIP. So look for what you're going to be doing, who you're going to be streaming each week. Look in advance, pick them up maybe 2 days in advance, because everybody else will be going after them the day of. You know, everybody wants to wait till the night before someone pitches and grab them that night. Well, grab them 2 days in advance. That way you're guaranteed to have them on your team. You know, if that's going to be your game, is streaming players in and out, do it in advance, do it smart, all right? And go win your championship, everybody. All right, so I hope everybody understands what I did here, why I did it, what I plan to do. I've got another draft coming up tomorrow. Literally drafting during the Super Bowl, right around halftime. Yeah, right around that 8 p.m. You guys will be watching the halftime show. I'll be drafting a fantasy baseball team. Another $100 league, so we'll put up... I will do a, you know how this last draft, I actually put up the whole draft? Well, I'm going to cut out a lot of the in-between draft picks noise and just go with my draft picks. You know, I'll edit it down so it'll be a shorter video. I know this one is kind of long, but I really wanted to get my point across, what we're doing here with HrRBIs Army of Pitchers. And, fellas, I think this is a championship team. Keith, you're wrong, buddy. This is a championship. This is not just playoff. And, all right, enjoy your season, fellas.